Hey everyone, good morning. Good morning, Aurora. Hi, Joe. Oh, let me lower the volume on this. I'm trying to have my chat open today so I can see it on Safari. Awesome. All right, so let's go through this. So we have Nancy, Aurora, Michelle Lecanto, Sandy, Matt, Ismael, Paul, Chris. How are you guys doing this morning? Good to see you all here. I have two Auroras. One is Aura. Chris, how are you? So what I'd like to do for you here today is to oh wow, I just got a notification on my iPad that we're live streaming. Okay, so I feel I feel like I'm into technology here today. South Africa. Oh my God, that's far away. Jean Philippe, how are you? JMB Creative Art. Good afternoon. Good morning. All right, so RK15 from Russia. What I'd like to do for you guys today is to just do a little bit of sketching. I have a class that I'm teaching this week at the School of Visual Arts via Zoom. It's all week. It's going to be, hi Nancy, doing good. It's going to be all about figure drawing, first day, portrait drawing, perspective. It's kind of squeezing the whole semester into a 5-day class. So, hey David, I'm kind of a little rusty because that's all I've been doing is drawing portraits. So the goal here today is to kind of show you what I would do to warm up some of the first drawings that I would show in the class on Monday. Because on Monday, what we're going to be doing is going over figure drawing. Hi, Millie, Pat, Georgia, love it. Morning, y'all. And yeah, so what I'm going to show my students first thing Monday morning is the rough skeleton, torso peanut shape, and then we'll get into a little bit of gesture drawing. And that's what I would like to do for you here today, this morning. Something a little bit, wow, Egypt, something a little bit different than Ahmed, than portraits all the time, okay? Because we've been doing a lot of portraits. So let's get to it, okay? Jermaine, how are you? Now, what am I working with? I'm going a little different today. I zoomed out, and because I'm going to be drawing a little bit bigger with my arm, I'm using a Derwent drawing pencil. It's called Ivory Black 6700. It's in the description. If you have been with me at DTO for a while, you know this is the pencil that I like to use on newsprint paper. So I'm not using regular paper. I'm using newsprint is regular paper, but regular paper for gesture drawing. Now the problem with newsprint is it turns yellow, and you have to protect it from the light. What turns it yellow is sunlight. So if you do a really, really good drawing and you want to keep it on newsprint, you must, hey Judy, keep it within the pad, put it in a dark closet that's really dry, kind of a good temperature and humidity, and the paper will last a long time. But if you leave it out and you put the drawing in a frame, and sun is going to be hitting that frame, if it's in the hallway or in a room, it's going to yellow like crazy. So some of my favorite drawings that I've ever done are on newsprint, and the paper is like beyond yellow. Okay, so yeah, right now I can't make a list of YouTubers. Right now, what I'm going to start to do is draw the rough skeleton, and let's warm up, okay? So first thing I'm going to do, I want to make sure this is on the monitor. So for me, when I draw the figure, everything has to be round, okay? So round, and then I'm going to not lift my pencil off of the paper. Okay, now I'm doing this oval, and I'm going, see how I started light? See how I started dark? And now I'm going light, and I'm practicing light pressure. Okay, this is how I like to warm up. Now some figure eights, very light pressure. Now some long, just making sure I'm on this. Hey, Matt. Yeah, okay, so that's a good idea. Manila colored newsprint iron. So you see what I'm doing? Nice and slow. Okay. When you draw the figure, one of the most important things that you can remember, see how quickly this pencil got dull, is that everything is round and everything is organic. So all of the lines have to be curved, just like what I'm doing there. Now, one of the first things I'm going to tell my students on Monday morning is not to put a straight line down, then lift your pencil off. Put a straight line down, then lift your pencil off. Put a straight line down. And what you do when you draw this way is you draw in a very kind of stiff, scratchy sort of way. And this is how you do not want to draw, okay? So it's just it's like a black crayon. It's a Derwent Drawing Ivory black pencil. So this is what I do first, and this is what I'll show my students on Monday morning that they really need to practice. And then what I'll show, so we started with ovals, right? And what we could do is oval, curve down, and make that oval kind of look like that. Another one, we could make the oval look like that. So stack your ovals up on top of one another. And I lifted my pencil off of the page, no doubt. And now we have a really dull pencil. So the other great thing that you can do at this stage in the game is these lines are extremely soft. So all the materials are in the description. Just click on the description right below the video and you'll see my pencil. Now I can take the sharper point of the pencil and just press down harder. So instantly I have a nice dark line, okay? Now, if you guys know, I like to draw with the Cola Erase. I would never in a million years use the Cola Erase on newsprint. You see how light that is? It's just awful. Like if I need to, I can't get dark with it. If I get dark with the Cola Erase pencil, I'm going to rip the paper. So I never, ever, ever use the Cola Erase pencil on newsprint. I only use this Derwent drawing pencil, and I use it when I draw big. So right now, my ruler is hidden over here. One moment. So usually when I draw on YouTube in these live streams, I draw really tiny. So we're about 13 inches tall, and the pad is an 18 by 24 pad. And when I draw the figure in life drawing class, my figures are usually about 15 inches tall in a gesture drawing setting, but I didn't want to zoom out that much. Okay, I wanted to kind of keep it, the paper is at a 45-degree angle. A 45-degree angle, in my opinion, just my opinion, is the best angle for not kind of torturing your shoulder. And it allows you, do you hear my hand? It allows you the opportunity to keep your hand on the paper. Now, I'm going to resharpen this pencil. So what am I using? I'm just using a simple little pencil sharpener, because this is what I would use in my life drawing class. And I'm putting the crumbs, not the crumbs, but the shavings in this little mug. I'm not using my electric pencil sharpener because this pencil doesn't even fit into my electric pencil sharpener. So if you can give me a moment here just to resharpen this. Good. Okay, so we have our ovals, and maybe the first thing that I'm going to do is just sketch out a rough skeleton. This is what I'll be teaching first tomorrow. So we start with the rib cage, not tomorrow, Monday. Then we go to the circle for the pelvis. And then we go to long gesture. Sorry for my head getting in the way there. Long gesture for that leg. Then I'll kind of go up, hit that head. And now maybe what I'll do is I'll just indicate where I want that other foot to be. So do you see how this looks just like that? Because when you draw, hey, Alan, I learned these drawing skills from teaching for 20 plus years at the School of Visual Arts, just kind of figuring out how to make the class more interesting and doing this over and over and over again. The rough skeleton, I learned from my art teacher in high school in 9th grade, Mr. Mahler. Teddy Mahler. He was one of my best teachers ever. So you see how we just kind of get like in 10 seconds, 20 seconds tops, we get a quick figure. And it's ovals and circles. That's all it is with a long gesture. Now, what we're going to do next is just try to make it look a little bit more like a skeleton. So this first oval, okay, you just think about the bottom. This is called the coastal margin. I've got some sunlight coming on in right now. We have our center line of that rib cage. So right away we get that in, okay? And now what I'm going to do is turn the ball or the circle or the sphere into a bowl, because this is where your belt would go if you were drawing clothing, okay? Hopefully this is all, yep, this is on the video. So now we could just, I'm not going to draw the whole bowl. Well, yeah, let's do that. It's kind of a big pelvis compared to that rib cage. Let me resharpen, because these pencils are so soft and they dull out so quickly. And I love a sharp pencil when I draw. Let's leave that. That's looking a little too big, but maybe this person has big hips. Okay, so now let's go back and quick sketch oval for the head. That rib cage right now is looking a little small. I'm going to think about forehead, back of the skull, center line. Okay, this would be the eyebrows. And now let's come on down. So this is where your femur would originate from, that side of that bowl. And bring it down, just suggest the kneecap. The point of this is to loosen up. And it's all about the rough skeleton. Okay, so kneecap into the foot. And you see, I'm not going crazy with the foot. I'm just kind of suggesting where that foot touches the ground. Okay, now we start with this in the classroom because this is the least intimidating way to start a drawing class. Anybody can draw ovals. Anybody can do this. And it's not intimidating to draw this way. Now, what we're going to do is think about, all right, this is front of the pelvis. So we have the angle of the hips, and now we have the angle of the shoulders. So the angle of the shoulders is going to be at the collarbones, okay? So we have some anatomical landmarks. We have the rib cage, we have the sternum, which is your breastplate over here, the center of your chest. And now from the bottom of this pelvis, the bottom of the bowl shape, we could, between the bottom of the sternum and the bottom of the bowl shape, the middle of that's going to be the navel of that rough skeleton. So now we immediately come on down and we put in the center line. As soon as we do that center line, everything just becomes extremely stiff, but it's all good. It's all good. Hey, Aries. Now, your iliac crest of your pelvis goes like that. We're getting a little bit into the weeds right there, but let's keep going. So femur, it's a rough skeleton. We don't want to go too crazy. Let's just kind of indicate a round foot at the bottom. Now, what did we leave out? We left out the arms. So what we can do here is say, all right, this is our collarbone. Your upper arm goes to the bottom of your rib cage. It's kind of like a pivot. And we could just put in upper arm, lower arm, thumb, pointer finger. Keep it really simple. Okay. Let's have this arm, upper arm, lower arm, hand on the chest. Okay. So maybe this person's kind of going like that. Simple, simple, rough skeleton. And what is beautiful about the rough skeleton, let me slide this over, is that let's talk about a couple things before I change up the pose. I think these things that I'm going to talk about next are really super duper important. So the pit, this is the center of the collarbone right here. So clavicle, center of the collarbone. You have to make sure one or both feet are underneath that center of the collarbone. So what is right below in this particular pose, both feet are bearing the weight. Okay, that's really important. Sometimes people, when they draw the figure, the feet are not underneath the collarbones, the center right here, and it almost looks like the person is the Leaning Tower of Pisa, like they're going to kind of tip over. So you need to have that balance. And I usually draw, now if it's an action pose, the feet don't need to be underneath that center line because it's an action pose and you're doing an action. And action means movement and off balance, okay? But if you're just doing a standing figure, you should think about what is underneath the pit of the neck. Now, of course, my dogs are barking. It's a live stream, so we know it's Saturday. I'm going to take a wild guess. When I look at this on YouTube, on my monitor, head's a little too big. Rib cage is a little too small, but it's fine. I'm going to say that this figure is about 6.5 heads high, because that's how I like to draw. So we have, that's fair. That's about that head high. Let's do this quickly. If we do it too slow, it's going to become too exact. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. 6.5 heads high. I like to draw 6.5 head high bodies. Now, if you're into doing fashion illustration, maybe your figures are going to be 8 heads high. Okay. Hey, Sabby, how are you? And if they're 8 heads high, it's just going to look really long. If they're 5 heads high, figure's going to look very short. You know, I think somewhere between 6 and 7 heads high would be a good size for you when you're drawing out of your imagination. Now, if you're drawing a child, maybe a child would be closer to like 5 to 4 heads high, because children's heads are much, much bigger than adults compared to their body, okay? Now, let's do one more rough skeleton, and then what we'll do is we'll layer on a new technique. So I'm going to slide this over. Let's do a profile. Pencil sharp. Let me just grab a different pencil that's already sharp. Rough skeleton. Let's start with the big part of the body. Is that on the monitor? Yes. So oval. Circle for the hips. Now, at this point in the game, I can turn this into a back view, I can turn this into a front view, or I can turn it into a profile. Since I said we were going to do a profile, let's do a profile. So what I want to do first is just get that head placement, all right? So rib cage, pelvis, head placement. Okay. Now, what is really, I think that head's too big again. I'm drawing big heads today. I'm going to move the head forward a touch, and that's the back of the skull. So when I draw the head, I really like to draw the head using 2 ovals, 1 horizontal oval for the back of the skull, and that head's too big, 1 vertical, and that vertical is the jawline. Okay, so let's do it something like that. Now, oval for the rib cage, circle for the pelvis. Where the 2 ovals touch, that's where your cervical vertebrae, your spine starts. So your spine is going to connect these elements into your sacrum. That's a great way to start. Okay, so what do I see? I see that that pelvis is just a little bit too short. Let's make that pelvis a little bit bigger. That's better. Now that pelvis is much more in proportion to the head. Rib cage is a little small, but that's okay. Now, before I even get to the legs, we could start to draw what I like to call this. Can you see that? Yes. Yeah, what you need to do, well, repetition is the mother of skill. The more that you do this, the more you're going to become in tune with what you're doing. And you need to lean back, okay? So what do I have here? I have my little Post-it note. First word is lean back, slow down, okay? And you just need to lean back. If you're like nose to the grindstone and you're drawing like this and you're not leaning back, your proportions are going to be all messed up. And then it's my philosophy that when you draw flat, is your pad flat on the table, perhaps that's going to make your drawings look out of proportion. If your pad is flat, your heads are going to be small, your feet are going to be big. If you're at a 45-degree angle, it's a very natural angle to draw in. I'm a little bit more tilted than 45. Not vertical, but not perfectly 45 either. So now what we can do is we can kind of keep going here. Boy, that's a tough name. I can't say that name. Mirella? Is that an L or an I? I can't even see. Let me keep going here, but welcome. Okay, so coastal margin, bottom of the rib cage, that's what it's called. And it's also, I call it the letter A. Right here, it's a curved letter A. So we can put in a letter A over here, and that's going to add a little bit more detail to that rib cage. Now, I think we should get a leg in. Okay, so hopefully I can get this on the monitor. So leg is going to originate from the center. Yeah, this is, hey Craig, this is really great practice. So now from the center of the pelvis is going to originate your femur. Now when I draw the femurs are really curved. I have a full body skeleton that's not real, it's plastic, synthetic. And when I look at the femur, it's down in my basement. I got a skeleton in my basement. So when people go down there, they get really scared. When they see it, they jump. It's curved. So just like gesture, that's curved. And I'm going to see if I can't. It's not going to be on the monitor. Barely. I'm forcing it. Gosh. It's off the monitor now. So let me lift up I'm using a big heavy pad right now. It's a brand new Newsprint pad. Let me just lift it up without causing a catastrophe here and everything falling down. Wouldn't that be funny if everything fell down on the live stream and my pad fell down? And I usually have those types of accidents, like when I'm teaching, the whole pad kind of falls off my lap. So that's not bad. Those are short legs, long torso. So every person is different. Some people have long torsos, short legs. Some people have long legs, short torsos. So I would say that this person has short legs. Now with this other leg, with my rough skeleton, I'm just going to have it, maybe the person's kneeling on something. So I just did something like that. I don't know how natural that is, but that's my rough skeleton. Now if I wanted to, I can say, all right, collarbone. I'm talking too much. I'm not even giving myself a chance to swallow. 1 second here. I think everyone's been pretty cool so far in this particular class. So remember, upper arm to the bottom of the rib cage, your humerus, elbow. I just like to do thumb, pointer, finger. Okay, so that's my rough skeleton. And yeah, so now, next step. Let me resharpen this pencil. I'm going to look at the comments. Okay. Now, again, this is how I learned how to draw when I was in high school, okay? And it's very basic. And what you could do, these are big. I don't really like to do this that much anymore. These are about 12 inches tall. Really, truly, if I measure that one exactly, it's about 11 and a half. What I like to do with these little rough skeletons is draw them small. So I like to, just do a little thing, a little thing, a little thing. Maybe this knee is up like that. And again, I could now maybe adjust. So I like doing this small. Maybe this particular rough skeleton, that person's leaning against the wall, and angle the shoulders, angle the hips. So you see how quick that was? You could really, thanks, Craig. I don't know about that. I was glancing at my Bridgman book today because you kind of put it in my mind. And yeah, Bridgman, the first pages are some of the best. Like I used to look at this when I was in college, and those first pages are the best. those gesture drawings. This is a great book that everybody who's interested in figure drawing should buy. Okay, I love this. And some of the drawings with the levers and the pulleys, I don't really pay attention to those, but his gesture stuff and his anatomy stuff is great. So let's do one more little one. So we could do one that maybe this person is sitting down. And that's a huge rib cage. And they're leaning forward, and S-curve for the spine. Maybe their head is in their hands, and they're like, God, this rough skeleton sucks. What am I doing? This is no good. The legs are too long and the body's too big. But it's a great way to do this. So let's recap, okay? Hey, Ileana. Thank you, Frank. I don't have my own book, but I have a website that has more video than you'd ever be able to get through. That's my book. I always say to people that when I graduated from college way back when in 1990, from the School of Visual Arts, I went into the book illustration industry and I illustrated people's books. I illustrated young adult book covers. Now I kind of created my own publishing company, but the publishing company is in the form of video. And I can't even tell you how many hundreds of hours of video that I have. But a book, yeah, I thought about writing a book, but I don't know. Video is just my medium. I like video so much better. If you took all my PDFs and put them together, maybe that could make up a book. So let's recap. The first thing we did was we just scribbled some ovals. We went dark, we went light, we did some long strokes because when we do figure drawing, we want to draw with our arm and not our little fingers. When you do these, let's say you do a rough skeleton and you're drawing the rough skeleton like this. See what I'm doing? I'm not moving my arm, I'm moving my fingers. I'm being kind of doing this on purpose. I'm making it. It's probably going to look like a beautiful piece of art because whenever I do this, it always looks good. It kind of looks like a Van Gogh. Okay, so yeah, that's what you don't want to do. That's extremely stiff. Thank you, Alfonso. So what am I doing? I'm drawing with short little lines, very timid lines. And this is a winter coat, and this is naked. This is relaxed. And this is all bundled up and afraid. Okay, I kind of like the way that looks, but you have to get away from drawing with your fingers when you're drawing the figure full body, and you need to get back into drawing with your arm and your wrist and your fingers simultaneously. Make sense? Okay, so warm up, draw with your arm. This is a great exercise for you to practice the rough skeleton. This is how I teach people how to draw out of your imagination. And when I was in college, I used to draw first the rough skeleton when I was in figure drawing class because I was afraid to let myself go and do what we're going to do next, okay? I like to draw a 6.5 head high person, and you can kind of make it simple like this one. Yep, I'm a teacher at the School of Visual Arts. I teach in the animation department right now. I used to teach, hi Anna, I used to teach in the illustration department, but now I teach in the animation department. I teach advanced drawing to fourth-year students, and I teach to foundation students, first-year students, how to draw. Yes, when you're painting big, Alan, you can use your arm. If you look, you can't see the painting over my shoulder, but if I'm painting small, it's all fingers. And I uploaded a new painting course. It's not finished. It's going to be 10 lessons. I have 5 lessons uploaded at Drawing Tutorials Online. And if you watch me paint, the beginning, the underpainting, I painted a little bit more with my arm. But now when I'm doing the details and I'm starting to block in the features of the face, the head is only like 4.5 inches high, I'm using my fingers. So this rule totally applies to painting as well as drawing. But again, what am I using here? I'm using this big, massive Strathmore newsprint pad that is 18 by 24 inches. This is one of my favorite pads. Now, I shouldn't say that because there's a pad that has less sheets of paper in it, and I like that one better because newsprint pads can get really unyieldy or unwieldy, I think is the word. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. They just kind of get floppy and the pages start to fall out. So don't ever, this is my advice. I'm going off topic here for a moment. I'm going to switch the page and we're going to do a torso peanut figure. Don't ever buy the Canson Biggie pad from the art supply store. It falls apart on you the first day. The reason why students buy it is because it's the most economical pad. It's a lot of paper for not a lot of money. But the paper is all glued in. It's not a spiral bound pad. And as soon as you start to flip the pages over, the glue is really cheap glue. The paper goes all over the floor. And I see these students and they're looking at me and they're like, why am I going to art school? This is torture. I shouldn't have bought this pad. So never, in my opinion, buy the Canson Biggie pad. It's the worst pad ever. Okay, so rough skeleton, 6.5 heads high. This is good for practice to loosen up. You can add more anatomy or you can keep it simple. Okay? All right. Now, I'm just looking at my notes. Cool. Now, let's do something different. Okay, let's flip the page to a blank page. God, I got a scratchy throat this morning. It's driving me a little cuckoo. I got to clear my throat. Okay, I'm going off camera. Excuse me. Okay, we're live. The teacher's clearing his throat. Let's see here. Let me just sharpen my pencil. So again, I'm using this cheapo little sharpener. Another side note. I got a lot of distractions here today. Listen, I've seen students that have sharpeners from like when they were in 5th grade, and it's first year of college, and they still have the same sharpener. I'm like, listen, they're 99 cents at the art supply store. You need to go get a new sharpener because the blade is so dull. It's like a piece of wood now, the blade. You have to constantly get these sharpeners. Buy a bunch of them. They're under $1 because they get dull very, very quickly. Now, this is going to drive me cuckoo, so I'm going to rip this out of the pad without ripping it. Come on now. I just ruined this. Okay. You know how many drawings I have? Let's just throw it on the floor. Okay, let's do the torso peanut shape. How much time did you spend for understanding all gesture and anatomy correctly? My whole life. Okay, you can't learn anatomy in a month. It's a constant study. The drawings that I did just 5 short years ago, I thought they were great. Now I'm killing those drawings. So I mean, I'm in my early 50s, and what I did when I was in my early 40s, I look back at that and I think it's horrendous. But when I did it, I thought it was good. So you're always learning. I don't let that discourage you. That this has taken me my whole life to be able to learn gesture drawing, figure drawing, and all that stuff. It's just you got to enjoy the process. You got to enjoy the journey, not the destination. Because when you get to the destination, you're usually like, "Oh God, this is the destination. I enjoy the journey better." Is not working. So my Instagram is just my name, Matthew Archambault Artwork. Sorry. Okay. Let's do this. Figure. I'm going to do the rough skeleton very lightly. And then we're going to do the torso peanut shape on top of it. Okay, so let me just... rib cage. Pelvis. Upper leg, lower leg into that foot, upper leg, lower leg, head. Now, I'm not really liking one of the legs, but it's all good. we can go over that. This is very light. So now we're gonna leave it like that. That's our start. You see, I just did that in less than 5 seconds, and you immediately can see the proportions if they're right or if they're wrong. And right now, that's not a 6.5 head high figure. That's a 7 head high figure. So right away, you can see your proportions this way. Now, this person's going to be sitting down a little bit. Is there a specific way to practice? Study one bone a week until you're done studying the bones, and then you study one muscle group a week until you're done studying the muscle groups, and then you start to study the bones again because you forget them. And then when you're done with the bones, you study the muscles again. And you do that over and over and over again for years, okay? And then when you draw the figure, you just start to put anatomy into your figure drawing. So let's just try to do this here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm just going to draw, okay? No pretense. I'm just going to start to figure this out. Bottom of the rib cage. So I'm not doing a full. Now, I haven't drawn the figure in a long time. Yes, I don't really draw animals too much. I had a class on how to draw animals. But yes, it's the same thing. You're just drawing the same thing horizontally. Animal legs are really tough. Okay, so now obliques, pelvis, bowl shape, coastal margin for the rib cage, bottom of the rib cage, navel, front going down to the pubic bone. That would be, so I'm using hints of, let me resharpen this, or let me just grab a different pencil. I'm using hints of that rough skeleton. Okay, but I started with the rough skeleton, but I'm not going to finish with the rough skeleton. I'm going to just use it as kind of my roadmap. And when you draw from life with the model, this would be so much easier. I'd have poses in my mind, okay? I wouldn't just trying to be figuring this out. So pelvis, butt, upper leg, okay, this upper leg, I'm going to tilt it down. So we're a little messy. That's okay. It's just a gesture. It's just a warm-up. It's just a sketch. Not doing anything finished here today. Curve the breasts around the roundness of the body. Just like that. Okay. Quads. So that's an opposite C. I'm on video. Okay. Lower leg, foot. So this person's on their toes a little bit. Now that leg's really long. So let's keep going. I'm going to just try to resolve that leg. So this knee area is going to become a bit of a box. And this, just gesture that out. Okay, so let's work the top a little bit. Pectoralis muscle and angle of the shoulders. Okay, and deltoid. That's a big deltoid. Bicep. Head's way too small, but that's okay. Let's move the head over and lean back now. Lean back. And let's put some, I like to call this mummification. So it's almost like you're wrapping linen around a mummy. Do you think that exists a great tip for knowing if your proportions are going well or not? It's just, it's leaning back. You can use the how many heads high, like I talked about in the first part of the video. And it's knowing, sometimes what I tend to do, if I've been working with a model for months in the semester, the same model over and over again, my drawings usually tend to look like that model. So if I'm drawing a model that's like 5'6", my proportions are always going to look like that model. And then maybe next semester I draw somebody that is 6'1", and I draw them over and over and over again. My proportions tend to look like that model. Let me resharpen one moment. But you can use the how many heads high, and it's about leaning back. So I'm just looking. Okay, so mummification. Let me scribble a little bit, get the edge off of that point. Round lines. Let's turn this into a little bit of a box. Gravity should pull this. So if you draw from, I just broke the pencil. If you draw from life a lot, you're going to get the feeling of gravity. One moment. Sorry, guys. Just want to resharpen. I shouldn't really push this that much more because this is about sketching the figure, not doing a finished figure. But let's just, a couple more lines. Curve. Sometimes it's best to leave stuff empty when you're sketching like this. Not because it's a cop-out, like you can't draw it, but it's a gesture style figure. You're just, this would be in a life drawing class. You have 2-minute poses, 5-minute poses, 10-minute poses, 20-minute poses, and then it goes on from there. So let's just kind of finish this off. So what I'll do is, let's get that other oval. Let's just get a quick eyebrow area, forehead area, side of the head, back of the skull. Just suggest and suggest the neck, trapezius. Deltoid is like an ice cream cone, just like that. And bicep, forearm. How do I want that hand? Let's just kind of do a hand like that. Yeah, you could. For me, it's about eye sockets. I love drawing eye sockets. So just a quick little eye socket like that. Faces, yeah. Now, if I wanted to put a little bit of shading on this model, I can do that. I could hint at hair. I can give them a little bit of an expression. So we're just suggesting. Okay, I kind of made this model look angry. That's funny. All right, so let's just push it a little bit more, and then we'll do another one. So this is what I'm going to be teaching on Monday. Yeah, that person looks really angry. Oh, my God. What a disaster. So anger is through the eyebrows. Just suggest, okay? Just suggest. Let's go back to this. So I like to do the tibia. And I like to think about the foot as a cylinder. I'm running out of room. Okay, that leg going behind her, I'm going to just keep that leg going behind her. So a little too heavy there with the face. A little too heavy. Let's do another one. Okay. Let me rip this out. Let's do one more. And let me resharpen. So let's start one differently now. Let's do one with a long gesture line. So let's start with the shoulders. Let me make sure I'm going to be on the camera. this is starting with long gesture. So you can, don't be perfect with it. Just say, all right, you know what? Shoulders, feet. So now I'm like, okay, I just did that. Do you think it's necessary to study every detail, every muscle when studying anatomy? Or no, you don't have to study every one. You know, I mean, I know all the muscles on the torso, but it took me years to, you know, just be able to say, okay, here's a torso. You don't have to study just the surface muscles. That's all. And all right, it's made up of a rib cage. Let me move this microphone over. And it's made up of a pelvis. So you just understand in the iliac crest, inguinal ligament, your abs are here. That's your navel. So your abs are not a 6-pack. They're actually an 8-pack. These are your obliques. And this would be your pectoralis. And serratus anterior. Your obliques cover your ribs, and they're really thin. So you see more rib over there. Collarbone, trapezius, deltoid. So it, you know, just study one thing at a time. Just learn the torso, just like that. And that would be a great place for you to start. And because people draw the front of the body more than anything else. Yeah, I understand, Craig, totally. Well, style is a topic. That's a topic I can talk about for an hour. But you know, I can say this about style: you either have a style that is intuitive, or you are always in search of your style. And people who are always in search of their style tend to experiment a lot. People who are always in search of their style are never really happy with their artwork. They're always bouncing around to the next shiny object. And then there are people who have one style, and no matter what they do, everything looks the same. So that's me. No matter what I do, everything kind of looks the same. If I digitally paint, it looks like my oil painting. If I do an oil painting, it looks like my detailed drawing. So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, I forgot lat muscle. Lat muscle. That person's in shape right there. Let's just, so this is how I would start. This is a really ugly, long gesture line to the top of the foot. Connect the feet. Okay, I'm going to lower the body just a little bit here. Now, let me just think of how this pose is going to look. Let's just do our torso peanut shape. Very lightly. So I have my torso. I like to start there. How long are we into this live stream? This is going to be my last figure. Let's see. We are into it about, wow, 48 minutes. Okay, geez. And maybe what I'll do, I have another newsprint pad over here. At the end of the video, if you hang in there with me, I'm going to share with you what I have in that newsprint pad. It's from a spring semester. I'm going to show you the good, the bad, and the ugly, because there's a lot of ugly in there. But let's just do this figure really quickly. So torso. Okay, pelvis, bottom of the pelvis, pelvis bone. This is where your belt would go. Navel. Keep the pencil on the paper. I'm getting a little too sketchy. Rib cage. So it's a little sloppy, but it's okay. Let's move that navel over. Center line. But, okay, right here, this bone, your pubic bone. Opposite C. I'm not really talking about the opposite C's today. And opposite C, this is like a shallow letter C right here for this quad. Letter C. The opposite letter C. Lean back when you do this stuff. Lean back. Letter C, very shallow, curved into the arch of the foot. Okay, now this would be opposite letter C. Letter C, kneecap, gesture down into the inside of that foot. Plant the foot on the floor. Now, this is a headless horseman, so let's put a head in. Just like that. It's a little bit off camera. Now I'm going to lower this. Good. One moment. I'm almost there. Man, this pad is heavy. Okay, cool. Yeah, style is something that should evolve over time. So if you're a college student and you go into college and it's first year of college, you're very impressionable. Like you might like somebody in first year, and then in fourth year you hate your role model that you liked in first year. So it's just exposing yourself to a lot of different artists and learning from a lot of different artists and teachers. And then at the end of you have to stop experimenting at some point. And then you start to look at your body of work and you say, okay, I tend to do this more than anything else. That looks to what I like to do. That kind of looks like what I like to do. Let's stick with that. And that starts to become your style. And then you mature your style. Okay. Hello, MAO Abraham. I can't pronounce that name. My God. I mean, I can't even pronounce my own name sometimes. Welcome, welcome. All right, so that's our quick figure, and let's push it. Let's push it a little bit. So let's. Oh boy, we got a leaf blower outside. Go very light. Notice I like to do arms last. A rib, rib cage, collarbone, deltoid, lat muscle. Now we can start to press down a little bit harder. So this has to be a line that rolls in to the bottom of the rib cage. Then this has to gently come in to the top of the pelvis, and then there's this little ligament here that goes down. Okay, gluteus medius, gluteus max. Okay, let's do these adductors. Cool. Now let's talk about the feet a little bit. Just think about the arch of the foot, cylinder, big toe. I know that's probably barely on there. Let me resharpen. Yeah. That's a tough question. What age should you stop experimenting? I mean, I do coaching with artists, and they're old, just like me, and they're still experimenting. And it's about, why are you doing your art? For what reason? Do you want to earn a living with your art? Do you want art to be a stress release as a hobby? If you want art to be a stress release and it's your hobby, you can experiment forever. If you want to be an illustrator that works in the gaming industry, and the gaming industry wants this type of art, well, then at some point you got to stop experimenting and master that type of art. Okay, so let's just hint at this arch of the foot. And shape of the hair. ear. Put a little bit of tone over here. This is a little bit more of a graceful head than the other one I did. The arm, cylinder for the forearm, thumb, pointer finger. And let's maybe we can put in some a rib. I don't like this hip area. So angle of the hips, angle of the shoulders. I think if you're early on in your career, you want to experiment. And then at some point, it's about the industry. What industry are you going into? And then you have to pick a medium that goes with the industry needs. So right now, if I was to be a book cover artist, I would have to be a digital painter. I wouldn't necessarily be an oil painter. So you have to change your style if you want to go into a certain industry. It's really, Marilla, it's really hard for me to talk about style. I feel like I'm not giving you fair information in this short, little live stream over here, because I'm just kind of giving you tidbits. This could be a whole different live stream talking about style. Anatomy is everything to me. I see students, they get to a point with their artwork and they can draw a pretty competent figure, but in order to make the figure look more realistic, it's about anatomy, okay? It's about anatomy. The more anatomy you know, so when I draw, all these lines that I'm drawing, they're anatomy. When people don't know anatomy, their figures tend to look like straight lines, okay? So it's a little bit more, oops, that's off the camera. If you don't know anatomy, what happens is you do a lot of lines that look like this. It's all very, what I would call concave. So your figure kind of looks like that. And it just looks kind of squirrely, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. And you could make a drawing, yeah, I work digitally all the time. You can do a drawing that is a competent figure drawing, but it doesn't look realistic. It's missing that one thing. And that one thing is anatomical landmarks, okay? When I work digitally, I work when I do critiques for people. I do a lot of figure drawing digitally just because I have to when I critique people's work. Okay, let's just do a couple more lines here. Form line. This is a sartorius muscle. Let's make that upper leg shorter. Kneecaps over here. So on my video, it looks a little, she's a beefy gal. She's strong. So we can bring this in. A little less pressure now with the eye socket. Bottom of the nose. And I want to move the navel over to the left. So that's my class for today. It's just, well, I threw my drawings on the floor. My God. Okay, I'm going to go get them. One second. So today was about just, if I'm going to be frank with you, I needed a warm-up session for Monday's class. So you start off scribbling. Don't draw with your fingers, draw with your arm. Think about the rough skeleton with anatomical landmarks, or without anatomical landmarks. You can draw some really small rough skeletons just to loosen up in your sketchbook. I'll put that back on the floor now. Then we just kind of dove into a pose using some of the techniques, and was a little heavy with the face there, but it's all good, just kind of sketching. And then here's another one, and I like that face better, no doubt. Now, let me show you a different pad and some life drawings. I'm going to be on this live stream for maybe 5 more minutes, but most likely less than 5. Okay, let's look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. So new pad, and everything is, it's too big. Gosh, let me see if I can't zoom out a little bit. One moment. So this was day 1 of composition class, where I talked about using the center line. And let me flip through to figure. This pad's falling apart. My God. Doing reverse gradations, shapes of value, composition techniques. Okay, let me flip through to some figure, composition. This is, and now this would be, how can I get more of this on the monitor? One moment, guys. I just want to share this with you. Okay, so this is what I was just doing, but drawing with a model. So you see how much more graceful this is, how much more natural this looks? Yeah, you can watch this back over. You see this one, how I drew top to bottom, just one side? And God, I'm not set up to show my whole pad here. This is a big pad. So this would be a warm-up session, and my lines are so much more graceful, oh my God, than what I just did. I really got to practice today. This is talking about the ovals and just kind of doing these weird, funky, same thing I was just teaching you guys, the torso, the ovals, thinking about, you know, the figure like this as one big oval. Do you see the rough skeleton in there? Okay. Got sound effects today. And this would be a fun drawing of what not to do. Don't outline everything equally. This is long gesture. Long gesture is important. This is chicken scratch. Okay, don't do that. Do this. Okay, then in springtime we got to how to draw trees. How to draw trees. Composition, how to draw. That's a tree. That is a face with an ear and headphones. So that's I had a class, a live class, when I first started doing live classes on how to draw trees. I like this that I did in the classroom so much better. Oh my God. You see the flowy lines with the landscape? It's the same thing as drawing people. More composition with perspective and value and gradations. So this was totally spring semester. Just practice 1 point, 2 point, and then everything in life is a box. Everything in front of me is a box. My pencil sharpener is a box. Okay, so if you could practice 1 point and 2 point, and then just draw spaces as boxes. These are 1 minute poses. I won't show you all of them. Okay, just quick sketches in between drawing with the students. That's gross, but I'll show you. I told you I was going to show you the good, bad, and the ugly. So that's a gesture with tone. Ah, rough skeleton. This is where we did a recap. Look at how much looser these rough skeletons are. Are you kidding me? Can we do a portrait soon? What do you mean, Aurora? Clarify that for me. Rough skeletons. Rough skeleton with this one has a ton of gesture. So this is what happens when you have a really good model on the modeling stand. They do really fun poses. See how I'm connecting the feet? Much This is opposite C's, just exaggerating, talking about how to draw a guy. I like to draw a guy with his upside down teardrop shape like that. Opposite C's, kind of cruising on down. Reference is huge for me. Drawing a face. Yeah. I've done way too many live streams on portraits. If you can go back and look at a lot of my live streams. There's tons of portraits. I don't want to push my pad over that much more, but there's other stuff over there. This is the angles technique. We're gonna scrap that. Angles technique. This is very important, but very stiff. It's still very important. There's perspective with that figure. Okay, so this is an organic drawing. Now, if I tilt my pad like that, see how the proportions just get a little bit better? My pad is kind of distorting my proportions. Oh, no, I definitely don't want to do a self-portrait. I look at myself every day in the mirror. Craig wants me to do a self-portrait, but there's not a chance it's going to happen. Not a chance. I would rather draw somebody, anybody but me right now. So this is a little bit more organic, a little bit of light and shade. We didn't talk about light and shade today. See how I'm not outlining everything? Very gestural, very loose, lots of form lines inside. I like that little torso right over there. That's the chocolate color of this pencil. So this pencil that I'm using today, it's in the description. Yeah, it comes in different colors. Yeah, one day I'll do a gerbil nibbling on a gummy bear. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, so just that's Maria, or I haven't worked with Maria in a long time. I have photos of Maria, and then we get into, so you guys are asking me about portraits. This was just a portrait demo in class. And, yep, just trying to show you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. Some portrait demo things in class. So these are all demonstration drawings that I'm doing. This is a live drawing. These were 4 minutes, 5-minute heads. There's 4 of them on the page. Almost done. I never share my pads like this. So how not to draw lips, how to draw lips, understanding the mouth. And then we're back to the figure with big, long gesture, ovals, different shaped bodies, plus-size model. And that's the difference between teaching online and teaching in the classroom. In the classroom, I just have access to all these models, and it's great. And I think that's gross. That's really gross. She's cute. He's gross. And the point with these two is some people are chiseled and some people are round. Character design. And I think that's it. I have some other things in. Oh, God. Yeah. I have a lot in this pad, how to draw hands. Oh, God, it goes on and on and on. But I'm going to stop right here, guys. How to draw feet. So this is a semester. Okay, maybe we'll close with this page. So this is just a warm-up page with lots of figures on one page. Just a random pad. I have hundreds and hundreds of pads just like this one. And if I can take my camera and point it up there, there's definitely a couple hundred pads up there. I like this page a lot. That's kind of cool. So you do a page like this on Newsprint, it's just going to get destroyed. What's the point that you see when you look at these drawings? Lots of form lines. Anatomical landmarks, the pelvis, the spine, not outlining everything. That's a fun little page. And drawing out of one's imagination. So that's what we did today. Shape a hair. See how I'm not outlining everything? just squeezing a drawing in during class. I like that one. And that's it. Yeah. So just be careful when you do drawings like this on your when you do drawings like this on newsprint, because they all kind of turn yellow. So listen, guys, I'm going to wrap this one today. I want to thank you so very much for joining me. I was a little bit all over the place, but sometimes it's like Friday night and I'm like, God, what am I going to teach tomorrow? So I used raisins for the eyes and a carrot for the nose. Yeah, when you outline everything, it becomes stiff, okay? And I teach this technique called the opposite C's, and the nature of the opposite C's is you don't outline. So you see how I'm not outlining his leg? And plus, like I said, it's a life drawing class, so there's 2-minute poses, 5-minute poses, 10-minute poses, 7-minute poses. If you try to outline everything, it's just going to be a nightmare. So you have to, get that feeling, leave things out in the background. Thank you, Ileana. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Nancy. Craig, thanks for joining us. Aurora, thank you. Hemanth Kumar, thank you. Rewatch us. I talked about that. Lilina, that's a cool name. Luke, good to see you, man. How's it going, brother? Appreciate that. Whoa, that's a tough name. Usia. Christian, thank you. Sabby, thank you. Morella, thank you. Paul, thanks for joining us. Connor, I really do appreciate that. I'm glad that you learned a lot. Listen, I never ask you guys for this, but give the video a thumbs up. Or if you're not subscribed to the channel and you want to see more of this, subscribe to the channel. I'm not a really good promoter. David, thank you. Aries, thank you. Aurora, Sandy, thanks for joining us. Ezekiel, cool. Craig, I'm not a legend. I'm an old man, soon to be a legend. Marie, say hi to the cats or cat. JMB Creative, thanks, man. Magnus, okay, there you go. Vivian, thank you for joining us. RK15, sir, my man, thank you. All right, guys, you have a great day. Appreciate you joining me. I'll talk to you soon.